Hello, this is Allie with the Perception Trainers, author of The Perception Diet, and today we are going to be talking about why helpful things feel harmful and why harmful things feel helpful. Why things that are good for you feel bad and why things that are bad for you feel good. All right, so clearly there's been a theme, in the videos lately about how exactly, essentially what feels good in life is growth, learning, changing, evolving, expanding, being in alignment with life generation, and what feels bad is death, chaos, destruction, moving towards death, okay? So those are the two kind of states of life, and we know that life speaks in two languages, pain and pleasure, yes? So pain is letting us know we're dying. Pleasure is letting us know that we are learning, growing, changing, evolving, expanding, and living, okay? So now that would be very simple and easy if we were not so complex as beings and have been able to create situations and circumstances where that which feels like where that which is actually killing us feels good in the moment, and that which is serving to keep us alive feels terrible in the moment. Now, if you have not already done so, I highly recommend you go back and watch the last Real Talk for Lightworkers episode, because again, the main reason we have this all so confused, yes, is because of this root issue that says it is external love and approval from everyone around us that is life. So we have, in a lot of ways, obfuscated true reality, what actually serves change, growth, learning, expansion, evolution, what actually is in alignment with life, for consensus reality, what we want the reality to be as an aggregate, yes? And so we are, almost all of us, are substituting being in alignment with true life and all of that requires with being in alignment with that which everyone else agrees is good and what we want it to be, so that we can accept each other. So this is part of the reason why we have been able to get to this place where people are like so confused about what is and what isn't life generating, and what is and what isn't good and bad, and we have all these morals and all these rules and all these laws, and the religion and the government and this group of people and this, we all disagree on what is good, because we have obfuscated our capacity to learn from true pleasure and true pain what is in alignment with life and what is out of alignment with life. And because we have equated external approval from the people as being what is in alignment with life, and external disapproval from the people as being what is out of alignment with life. Yes? Because as babies, we needed people to love us for them to take care of our needs so that we could live. All right? So now, as adults, we're still operating under two different rules. We are a house serving two different masters. Okay? Reality is still functioning. That which is true, what is actually creating life, actually life generating, actually causing death, actually death cycle, operates. That is. None of us are escaping that. Okay? That which is out of alignment with life is going to cause us pain. That which is in alignment with life is going to cause us pleasure. To be resisting information is to die, which is going to be pain. To be accepting new information is to grow, which causes life and causes joy. So again, this is not about being completely, perfectly in alignment with life. I'm going to make a video on time as we go along, probably next week, and we'll talk about that, right? We have time to figure this out because we're here to learn. But this is what this is. That's what feels good. So that's the one master. The other master is what everyone else says is right and good in my collective people that I'm around. And we're trying to do what everyone else says is good, what everyone else says is reality, right? It's everyone making up their own version of what reality is, what right and wrong is, what's going to make us feel good, what's going to make us feel bad, based on all of this kind of essentially telephone from down the generations of what is good and what is bad. We made up all these rules. And so we're serving both of these two things, right? There's a part of us that's wanting to learn from true reality. And then there's a part of us that's trying to fit in with the aggregate reality that may or may not have anything to do with reality. It's not always wrong. It's not always right. It's just, it is what it is. It's its own set of rules. And we're trying to be approved of through doing that. And in that, receive love. And in that, we are equating that with survival and life. So the biggest root cause of why we are not able to see truly why something is, if something is truly life-generating or not, why we are not able to really clearly discern pain from pleasure right now, is because there's such a deep connection to getting external approval from other people and life itself that we mistake that for pleasure. Okay? We mistake the fitting in. We mistake the doing what everyone else is doing for pleasure. We mistake the getting rejected, the getting cut off from other people liking us, the approval of other people going away as pain. And therefore, we have this side, so we think this is pleasure, we think this is pain, and therefore we keep doing these things that are pleasure, we think are pleasurable, but that are actually degrading, and not understanding why we're dying. We keep trying to do these things that we know are good for us, but cause pain because of this social standard, and not really understanding that, and at the same time are still operating under the universal principles and laws that state if you're doing something that's out of alignment with life, actually you're going to be dying no matter how much you believe it's right. Okay, so this is the thing, right? We're relying too much on belief rather than actual truth, right? We're relying too much on what the aggregate believes to be correct. What gets me accepted by the aggregate because the aggregate believes that this is the right way. We are relying too much on that and have made that truth and have therefore made truth relative. Truth doesn't even exist anymore. It's all just what we want it to be. If I just believe the chocolate cake is good enough, is good, it will be. No, right? That's just what an aggregate wants to believe because they want to eat chocolate cake because of all of these things that are going on. It has nothing to do with truth, right? And it's truly, really, at the end of the day, this core fundamental belief that humanity has that we couldn't understand the universal laws, that we don't understand why pain is happening, we don't understand why we're suffering. And so we're just making shit up to try to get out of our pain and suffering, and we're all saying if we all just agree on it enough, it's going to work, right? It's just if everyone agrees that this is how we get out of pain and suffering, if everyone just agrees that if we just think about it enough, that if we just think the chocolate cake into being healthy enough, right, that I believe it enough, it will be that, right, true reality either is something I could never figure out or it doesn't exist. That's really where this is coming from. So this is why we can have things like eating healthfully and meditation and moving our bodies and open, honest communication and learning to love the parts of ourselves that we've rejected, that are clearly, we can consciously see, that's life generating. Feel bad in the moment because they are not what the aggregate is telling us is correct. These things are not what get us external love and approval. And we are all in a state where we are so cut off from our own love and our own acceptance and our own capacity to approve of ourselves, our own capacity to relate to reality and say, no, this feels good, even though everyone else hates it. If I tune in with myself, this feels good. Actually, I can see the results of this are good now, they're good in the future. They are generating me. They don't cause chaos in my life. They cause order and structure. Okay, that's correct. Even if everyone else thinks it's wrong, right? We're all still stuck in this, yeah, but if everyone else doesn't agree, I might be wrong. Yeah? And so this is, like I say, this is why we can have these things that are so obviously life-generating don't feel good. Because we're still serving the master of needing external approval. And we can have these things that are clearly not life-generating. Drinking alcohol, partying, risky sexual behavior, like becoming a victor, becoming a victim, trying to save the world, trying to get saved, spending money, climbing the corporate ladder, all of these things, living in cities, all of these things that we're doing that are clearly out of alignment with true reality and true life generation, that are killing us. We can see this. That feel good in the moment. Well, why? Because it gets us approval. We're in alignment with that which we believe to be right, based on the aggregate. We're doing what everyone else is doing. We fit in. We're going to get acceptance from that. This is why even being a victim, feeling like you're a victim to something, and complaining, and gossip, and, oh my God, could they be so like not taking responsibility for ourselves, feels good. Because we're all doing that. Because we all have this understanding that if we're to take responsibility for ourselves, that's hard and bad and wrong and scary. We don't want to do that. We don't want to be adults. We all want to stay being children. So we get acceptance and love and approval from each other for staying as children, because that means everyone gets to stay a child. And then no one has to take responsibility. Well, we think that anyways, right? So we get a love and approval for that. So this is why someone like me, people don't like me a lot of the time. Because I'm just saying, if I have pain in my life, it's my fault. It's not anyone else's fault. I was raised by parents that made mistakes. I clean up their mess. That's my thing. And people don't want to hear that. Because then that takes away their, right, consensus reality that says, no, it's not my fault. I get to keep being shitty. I was the victim. It's not my fault. Yeah? I don't have to take responsibility for this. My pain is not my fault, so therefore I don't have to do anything about it. And it's like, okay, if that's how you want to live, you're allowed. Stay in that. But we got to understand this, okay? This is why, at the end of the day, we can have something that is clearly life-generating, that feels terrible, because it's not in alignment with the aggregate, and we don't want to do it. Yeah? We don't want to be rejected, because that's our source of love. The more we fragment ourselves, as we talked about in the last video, the more we cut ourselves off, the more we look to external approval, right? For love, for life generation, the more we have to fragment ourselves, because the reality is that humanity is all divided on what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is bad. There is no cohesive rule on it. You see what I'm saying here? Because we don't know. We're all out of alignment. True reality is quite black and white. But that actually is a safety thing. That's a comforting thing. It's not a punishment-reward thing. Okay? So again, even in the aggregate, we have conflated rules and structure with taking our freedom away. And we need to understand that that's not how it is. That the real truth is, the more you understand the rules and the structure, the more freedom you have. The more you understand gravity, the more freedom you have to create an airplane. The less you understand gravity, the more you're stuck to the ground. The more we understand about reality. Okay, so this is a big, huge root in humanity, which is to say, to know is to be confined and responsible. To know is to be grounded. Like, right? Like how your parents ground you. To know, to be responsible, is to be weighed down. We really think that so long as we stay unaware of something, it's not happening. We really believe that. That as long as I don't know that this is how it works, it doesn't work like that. If I don't want it to be like that, if I want to fly, as long as I just ignore gravity, I can fly. It's not going to affect me. When the reality is, of course not. You're still walking around on the ground like everybody else. If you want to know how to fly, you actually need to learn more about gravity. The more you learn about gravity, the more freedom you get. The more free you become. The more intelligent you are, the more aware you are of how things are, the more you are going to do it. And to understand too that to learn about gravity is not what made gravity start happening. Okay? Again, it was not when Isaac Newton, I think that's right, yeah? The apple fell and he realized how gravity worked, that everything fell to the ground because we all of a sudden became aware of gravity and then it started working. No, gravity was always happening. When we became aware of it, we actually became more creative and more free. So this is what we need to understand. Most of us are walking around with this whole, I can't know, I don't want to know, we're afraid of learning about how reality actually is. because we think that by learning about it, it makes it so. No, it's already happening. Anything that you can learn about your reality, you're learning about it didn't make it start happening. It was already happening. So you're learning about your pain. You're learning about your traumas. You're learning about how you're abusive. You're learning about these things. It's not what made those things happen. Those things were already happening. Your awareness of them actually enables you to understand why it's happening and then gives you the power to do something different. The denial that it's happening, or the denial of learning why it's happening or how it's happening, keeps you stuck. You can't do anything about anything you don't understand. This is what we need to get. Okay? So most of us don't want to do what is life generating, because ultimately what is life generating is to become sovereign, is to become responsible, is to become aware of how reality is functioning, and then taking responsibility for it to change it into something new by learning more and more about it. We don't want to do that. We just want it to change and be what we want it to be. We just want the chocolate cake to be good for us because I believe it enough. That's not taking responsibility. That's saying a reality that exists. Everyone else who's eating chocolate cake is getting fat and sick. I'm getting fat and sick when I eat chocolate cake. But if I just deny that enough, it's going to become different because it's not what I want it to be, right? Because it feels like taking away my freedom if chocolate cake is bad for me. No. When you learn why chocolate cake is bad for you, why it causes harm to everyone else, what is really going on here, you're not constrained. Okay, this is what we need to understand. You actually become free. You become free of your pain by understanding why your pain was happening. You're not going to want to do it anymore. Like truly, when you understand about chocolate cake, you're not going to want to eat it. You just don't want to anymore because you're life generating now. You don't have to fight against the things that were killing you. You don't. When we become aware, when you truly are aware, you're not going to have to fight with it. It's going to be easy. That's what I really want you to understand. So the bottom line is, okay, we have discord. We're serving two houses. We're a house serving two masters, sorry. Okay? We're trying to serve reality because that is always operating. We are in pain when we do something that's out of alignment. Even if the whole aggregate thinks this is right and we're all doing it and then we're all suffering together and we're just like, well, I guess this suffering is just the only way that life is. That's what we've gotten to, right? That this must just be how life is. Or maybe it's just because we're thinking wrong. Or maybe if we all disagree, right? We are in this virtual reality that says if we all disagree, if we convince each other, if we convince ourselves, it's going to be how I want it to be. No, there's a reality. If you're in pain, you're out of alignment with it. That's it. Part of it could be that you're serving what everyone else says is right, and you're not brave enough yet to say they might be wrong. If they're all in pain and all suffering and struggling, they're wrong, right? And this is what we need to realize. There is a way out of pain, and it could just be that you've never seen anyone get out of it because everything that everyone else is doing is wrong, essentially. And wrong simply isn't a judgment, okay? We're allowed to be out of alignment with life. We're allowed to kill ourselves. That's totally fine. No one is telling you that you have to stop that. You're allowed, forever. We're just saying if you want to get out of pain, it's probably going to be, that you're going to have to say, I can't do what you guys all think is right. Because it isn't. Because if it was, we'd all be life-generating, creative, inspired, passionate, in alignment with life, serving each other and ourselves. Okay? So we have to let go of this consensus reality, needing approval from everyone else. We have to serve true reality. You got to pick one or the other. And then you're going to see that, all those messes you never thought that you didn't think there was an answer to, you thought it was all in your mind. No, it was pretty clear. It was just because that's what they thought they were supposed to do. But it's not working. And then you can see why it's not working when you let go of needing to be approved of. And then you start to align and do what you really need to do, and they all got mad at you, and you're fine because you're connected. This is how it works. Okay? So if you're feeling bad doing things you know are right, and you're feeling good doing things you know are harmful, you're serving the aggregate. The aggregate doesn't have it. Unless they're truly joyful, don't do what the aggregate is doing. You need to follow reality. The pain is real. change. Don't do what they're doing. Okay? See you in the next